Hello, I'm going to do a video about dating and relationships from a person with Asperger's perspective, um, as it's something that I've been looking into recently, because it's something I find quite baffling, to be honest. I don't really understand the whole thing. Don't get me wrong, I've learned a lot in the last year and a half, 2 years since I've been diagnosed. But there's still a lot of kind of unanswered questions and yeah, things that get me thinking about it really. So, I mean, first off, I think I'm not sure whether being in a relationship with a neurotypical person or being in a relationship with another person with Asperger's is better. Because I assume if you're in a relationship with another person with Asperger's syndrome, you're going to get a lot of clashes because that person will have different quirks and routines, um, and sensory issues and everything else that comes with Asperger's that might clash with yours. They might not have the same interests as you, which will probably definitely clash because I find that happens to me quite a lot. I'll get really excited about telling somebody about a band or something, or I'll get really excited about talking about making music or or listening to music or learning about something that I learned the other day or something, and then I'll just waffle on because I'm kind of like stimming over it, and then the other person will be sat there like, I don't have a clue what you're on about. Sure. So I think that gets in the way because people with Asperger's kind of have more intense interests and they tend to be very specific. And also, not that we're selfish or anything or we're ignorant, we're not. We do our best to try and understand other people. But when somebody's talking about something that we have no interest in, we're just not interested. That's as simple as that. So we can kind of like force it and try and, but I think it comes across as a bit obvious when we're not really digging what the other person's saying. um, and that goes hand in hand with the fact that we also feel emotions a lot stronger than a neurotypical person does. So that's everything: happiness, sadness, anger, love, hate. We feel it a lot more than somebody that hasn't got Asperger's, which sometimes is a good thing because you kind of, when you're happy and or you really like somebody, um, or you're in love or whatever, like you feel it so much more, and that's a nice feeling when it's reciprocated, which is very rare. But then obviously when you get sad and stuff and angry, it's kind of like, from an outsider's point of view, it looks like a tantrum. And these tantrums are called meltdowns, and they can last anywhere in between, a few minutes to a few days. Um, and that can be hard for the other partner to deal with, whether they've got Asperger's or not. Excuse me. So yeah, I mean that does bring up a difficulty there as well, because when you start seeing somebody when you've got Asperger's and you really like them, and you get the impression that they really like you, and then you tell them how you feel, say, oh, I really like you, and da 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 da, and then they kind of pyre. It's like devastating. um, but we find it very hard to read the signs of what people want from us and what their intentions are. So 9 times out of 10, people are just looking for sex. But when you actually want something more than sex, either consistent sex with the same person, which would be nice, or just like a casual thing but good mates as well, which would also be nice, or a relationship. I'm not the type of person that just wants to have a bang and then that's it, that's the end of it. But what I've found is people, because I'm open about how I am with the Asperger's. I think sometimes some people take the piss with that and take advantage of you, and then afterwards, you know, they'll tap into it and they'll ask you about it, and they'll seem really interested about it, and kind of set themselves apart from other people that maybe aren't as attentive, and then they'll get what they want, and then that's it, they're off. And believe it or not, that is very common, but I think that's because, and I know it happens to men as well, but I think that's because I'm a woman as well, so there's kind of two things there that kind of make it very difficult. So yeah. Another thing that that is a bit of a difficulty for somebody with Asperger's is dating apps and stuff like that, and dating in general. Like, oh, it's just so nerve-wracking. I don't really like going on dates, and you know, it's like organised fun, and you're not really having fun. You're just kind of analysing that person, or trying to, um, and seeing if you want to see them again. So yeah, and 9 times out of 10 they don't want to do stuff that I want to do as well, because I'd rather walk around a derelict building or go for a walk, or you know, sit and play some music and stuff. So, or jam on guitar and stuff. But most people want to go out for a fancy meal and stuff, or go out for drinks, and I don't really like drinking anymore because drinking makes me feel ill. And I have like severe anxiety for days afterwards, and my routine gets completely messed up, which, as you know, or as you probably know, people with Asperger's need their routines to function, because that gives them stability and that gives them control. So obviously when you wake up with a hangover and you're eating things that you don't really want to eat because you're craving them, and you just feel sluggish and embarrassed and just shit, waste of money. But yeah, that's what normally happens with the people I go for, like because I go for neurotypical people. I never met an Aspie before that I've had feelings for or fancied, so yeah. The whole Tinder thing as well, I know it's a bit weird for neurotypical people too, but for people with Asperger's, it's very hard when they're sorry, when they're sending you a message. You can't really pick up whether they want to talk to you or whether they don't want to talk to you, because it's normally just like one sentence. You don't really know what their interests are because they don't put much on the bio, and you don't want to like pry too much, so I don't know. And then you don't know how they're going to look at you, if they met you or something, if they would touch you, you know, if you'd get on, because the main worry is people with Asperger's are awkward anyway. They tend to be. No offence, but I definitely am. And then you've got the added anxiety of what the other person's going to be like. Are they going to be outgoing, so they'll bring me out of my shell a bit, or are they going to be too loud and a bit annoying, or you know, are they just going to sit there and be really quiet, and then you be quiet as well because you haven't got somebody to kind of like push you in the right direction. So I don't think personally that internet dating is a good thing, but it is difficult to meet people outside, sorry, in real life, that have the same interests as you and stuff, and that would sort of, you know, respect the way your brain works. So another issue with dating and relationships is most people like the idea of you, and people who you talk to and stuff at first, but then when you tell them that you've got Asperger's, I think they get scared because they don't understand it. They think it's worse than what it is. You know, they think that you're gonna be like proper mental and stuff, when really you're not. You're just I don't know. Well, sometimes I can be, but You know, we don't mean any harm. So yeah, I think that's off-putting to somebody that doesn't really have an open mind towards that kind of thing. So another thing is when you're actually in a relationship and you make friends with that other person's friends, they expect you to go out with them and stuff like that. Obviously, they're not really your friends, they're your partner's friends. So when you go out with them and stuff, especially the first few times, I personally felt when I was in a 5.5, 6 year relationship with my ex, I felt it was kind of imperative to go out and make sure that I wasn't like the weird girlfriend, because back then I wasn't diagnosed, but I knew that there was something up. So I just used to take loads of drugs and get pissed and show myself up, and that kind of ruined me for a bit. But people with Asperger's do that, you know, a lot. I've read about it, and it is quite common because it's like another way of dealing with it and putting on a mask so that people don't see what you're really like and say, oh, come on, join in, you're being boring, you know, stuff like that. So a similar thing is family stuff. Like when you come home from work, I had a 9 to 5 job when I was with my ex, and I'd come home from work and I'd be just mentally exhausted from all the small talk and the rules and the systems and stuff like that I had no clue how to work, getting shouted at by managers because I wasn't working fast enough because I didn't understand the system. Yeah, just like drained. And then it'd make me like go to his mum and dad's house and stuff like that, and even though there wasn't loads of people there or whatever, it was still kind of like, no, I just want to sit on my own, I need some time on my own, please can you let me have this time. And he just thought it was like weird, like, what's up with you? So, and then he'd be like, oh, you haven't been out for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, what are my friends going to say? They'll think that you don't like them and stuff like that. People just don't understand. Even though you have to explain yourself over and over and over again, they just do not understand. And I don't know why, because I'd try and understand, even if it was something I didn't initially understand, like a different condition, like, I don't know, I don't really understand schizophrenia, but if I went out with a schizophrenic, then I'd make the effort to learn about it a bit, I think. But anyway, what's the other thing that I was going to say? Oh yeah, finally a good point about going out with somebody with Asperger's, which, as I said at the start of the video, that can be a bad thing. Because we feel emotions more strongly than the neurotypical person, I think we are very caring and loving people and loyal people as well, because when we like somebody, we really like somebody. And we would often do anything for that person. And I mean, that happens with friendships as well. When you make friends and you really like this friend that you've made and you're like, oh, this person's really nice, you would do anything for them. And sometimes people take the piss with that as well. But yeah, I think that going out with somebody with Asperger's is probably going to be a little bit more challenging than going out with somebody that hasn't got a condition or anything. But I think it's worth it because you'll get to see the world from our perspective, and you know, there's never a dull moment. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try and like carry on sort of finding out or trying to gauge whether and a person with Asperger's is better off going out with another person with Asperger's, or at least an introvert person, or if they're better off going out with a neurotypical. That's going to be something that I'm going to be thinking about. So if there are any couples out there that are both Asperger's, then please email me or comment on the comments box below, and yeah, I'd like to hear from you. And I'd also like to hear from couples that are Asperger's and neurotypical. So, and then I'll probably do another video in a few days' time, or in a few weeks' time. So yeah, that's everything. Thank you. Bye.